Good evening and welcome to another episode of I Am All I Am. I am your host, DJ Fat Cat L. Joining me tonight is my co-host, Queen B. Queen B, how you doing tonight?
Fantastic. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. I know we've been talking behind the scenes a little bit about the stock market. That's one of the things I always like to touch on. I'm glad I got a like-minded person across from me that can kind of, share those ideas.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Um, so today, I had come across some information and I thought about a way of, as far as format was concerned, some of the things we can talk about. There was, and it was a sister who was talking about relationships between, male and female. And she was touching on the subject matter of daddy issues, saying, a lot of people, they go into a lot of relationships and they are half baked because they haven't dealt with daddy issues. And what is your thought about that particular subject matter, if at all? How do you feel about that whole subject?
Daddy meaning people that had issues with their daddies, because I'm not sure
Yeah,
what the.
what that means is like, you know a lot of our relationships that we form with whoever we decide to be our partner are hinged in part on whatever relationships we had in the past, in particular with our parents. So in the case of this young lady, she was talking about women who haven't dealt in a thorough manner with their dad, and she was giving her own example. She felt like she was a fatherless child. So, as a result of that, her relationships became sort of a relationship that was going to allow her to fill whatever void was missing in that relationship. So, I was asking myself about fatherless daddy issues as far as women are concerned. What is your thought about how and if that affects them, and how exactly they can work on I can't say improving it, but work on fixing what is ever is broken within themselves, so that they can move forward with a better positive mindset, in a relationship.
Hmm, that's a good one because I really didn't have that issue. I mean, my dad was in the household and then he left later on. But I guess for me, it's a little bit different because I've always been strong. So not having my dad in the picture didn't affect any of my relationships because I look at a relationship with a man as being totally different from a relationship with my dad because that's my dad. A relationship with a man, that's two total relationships. However, I've seen a lot of females that tend to try to find a man that has the quality of their father. And I can see how it would cause a problem because we expect our fathers to be one way and you're looking for that same quality in a man and you don't find that quality. I mean, I never has to do, you got to let go of what your father didn't do, because if you allow it to come over in this relationship, it's going to cause problems. But the two should be different because I don't expect my partner to be like my dad was. My dad was a provider and he was a role model, whereas my partner, I expect him to be team. It's not going to be like one is a provider, the other one is just going to sit back. Just for that, I look for that a relationship where both of us, if he was to fall, I'm going have him. And if I was to fall, I'm gonna have his back. But as far as that, I guess that's hard for me because I wasn't one of those females that my dad wasn't here, so it affected my relationship. So I really can't speak on that because I didn't really experience that. I could see where it caused a problem, but it didn't happen with me. So it's hard to speak on that.
Okay, enough said. That's a fair way to speak about it. I myself, I don't, because I'm the male. Of course, I'm not going to have that viewpoint. So that's why I reach out to you as a female. You know, just giving your side. Have you noticed? Let's flip the script to the male side. Have you noticed? And you can give me your perspective that fellas, males, can end up with some sort of level of mother issues or mommy issues, or having got past the stage of being a boy issue, so to speak, in the most positive light, in the most positive light that we can put this. I know you got something to say on that one.
I mean, what's sad today is it seems like men are being made weaker, to be more feminine. Um, and I'm not gonna say it necessarily has to do with the mother because I raised my son without his dad being in the picture. However, I was in the military, so I was able to guys that were stationed with me to kind of help along the way. But I see a lot of guys that have mommy issues, not necessarily say mommy issues, just a little, not all of them, but they tend to be a little on the weaker side nowadays. Um, Not all of them, and I don't know if it's something that then switched in society because when I was growing up, the guys were a lot more masculine. They weren't doing things that society says is acceptable now. Um, the men were more respectable. Um, they had more of a protective role when it came to the women. You don't see that a lot. It is just it is interesting to see how the tables are turned. Well, I'm not gonna say the tables are turned, but to see where the men have went from when I was coming up to this new nation of men. I'm just gonna say it's very, very interesting. Not any of them, but it's like they making them feminine. You know, they're now. I know in Charlotte, it's kind of hard to tell who's male and who's going the other way because of this. What's the new thing? Transsexual or whatever this new metrosexual. You just it's really really hard to tell now for me. So
I understand.
your
It's funny
thoughts on
because,
that?
say again.
I
I
said,
didn't
what are
hear
your
what you said.
thoughts on it?
I believe that.
I said, what are your
Yeah, I understand. The thing is about the whole metro sexual thing. They started that, I think, up in like the bigger cities like New York City, and just people having to look more polished, if you will. And I'm not saying it had necessarily to do with whether they were masculine or feminine, because they can be really polished and still carry a masculine frame, right? But then you have people who are not necessarily carrying that masculine frame, and so those individuals could also come off as maybe, not as masculine as we once know man to be. So I don't really look at that, the exterior. I think what you were talking about earlier, that one is more poignant, and that is, what are your responsibilities and your expectations in a man these days, and how is that being either met or not met? And I feel that in that area they're failing horribly. And I'm not saying whether it has to do with race or it has to do with economic, socioeconomic status. Um, I'm just saying it appears that sometimes they've let themselves down. They've lowered their own bar. They've said they'll be okay with settling for less, whether it's settling for less in a relationship and I'll share this person with another person, whether it's that I don't need to have my own place, I'll just sponge off her and give her a piece of the money, whether it's I'm not going to take care of my kids that I spread all across the land and haven't decided whether I'm going to provide for them. So they've lowered their own bar. And I think more than anyone, they should be disappointed in themselves, because you should set an expectation for yourself about what you expect to do in this world and a contribution you hope to make in this world, whether it's with your children or the society as a whole. And I just feel like people have not really they've decided that that's not a high priority, whether it's ethically speaking or morally speaking or responsibility speaking. It just basically is being left at the door, and it's like no holds barred. So they say, what is that saying about the thieves? Thieves know no honor. There's no honor among thieves.
Right. Right.
It's like a
Right.
free for all. Like it's backstab, and it's gonna, I'll do whatever. I don't care if I cut you, or it's like, where's your own feeling of your own? We tout king, we tout God as being self, and we need to manifest that. See, I was saying to someone the other day, and this was a conversation I was having with my one of my daughters, and I was saying that one does not have to say, "I'm your mother, listen to what I say. I'm your father." You just need to be that thing. If I'm man, if I'm king, if I just be it, just exist, just manifest, and people will acknowledge that. You won't have to keep beating your chest. If I'm doing my thing and people are watching that, they see it. Oh, that man's doing what he do. I don't have to beat my chest and say I'm a man. I don't have to beat my chest and say I'm God. I don't have to beat my chest and say I'm king. You just see me doing what I do. So I think it's less talking about being a king and more doing as a king, as those who call themselves king or God body. Do it. Just do it.
Right.
Just do it. And the women will see and acknowledge that those who are of have high expectations, they will acknowledge that. Those who really don't have high expectations, you might not even come off as a candidate. You might not be grimy enough. You might not be hood enough. You might not be, fast money making enough. You might not carry enough wads of cash in your pocket, not invested it in anything enough. So
Right.
you have to choose your path. If that's the type of person you hope to attract, the person who feels that that's a big deal, then you'll attract what you get. And if you have a different opinion or a different thing, you're not even going to gravitate towards that which does not please you. And that's on both sides. If I look at a woman and I think, well, this is what I expect in the frame of the woman, and if that's not what I'm looking for, that's not even going to steer me in that direction. And that's the way I look at it when it comes to those the men and women relationships. The men have to expect greater of themselves. The women don't just say I'm a queen or say I'm a goddess. What's your manifestation? How are you actually producing? What are you showing out there that shows people you are who you are? Whatever you shaking and doing all that, great. If that's what you want to do, if that's your idea of your manifestation as a queen or as a goddess, do you. But again, you know by the company you keep. So the opposite is true. If you saying I want somebody to treat me with a royalty and look at me with honor or whatever, then manifest that. Show that quality in yourself. And then people will acknowledge you as such. I thought about this, and this is not
Right.
to drag it out, but and this is not to put it in the category of a religion, but when women are wearing hijabs and covering all of their parts, right? It's very hard for me to come out and talk about your butt when you're covered up. I can't see your butt. I'm not looking at your butt. It's very hard for me to come out and talk about your breast oozing out of your front. And it's not a religion. I'm just saying that's you have Catholic people who clothing. I'm not saying or judging whether the woman is pious or not. That's not the call. I'm saying what you're showing me is what I'm observing, is what I'm looking at. It's going to be in part what you manifest. I mean, I see women who manifest greatness and they do great things and they're about great things. And I compliment them all the time. And I say, man, look at this woman doing what she does. She big. And I ain't talking about because she got the biggest butt. No, I'm talking about she's just doing things that is on a level that are almost unattainable by your average woman. And so that's the kind of quality that I look for when I see. I'm not caring about how much big butt you got and how much you're shaking it and all that old craziness. That's just what. But for some guy out there, That's what he's looking for. Great. Find it, do you? You know?
Agreed.
So yeah, I wasn't trying to make it where they're a certain time. Just saying, you know, it'd be the same on the guy side. You know, let's say you got a guy, right? Goes back to the manifestation. What you were saying. You were saying, well, if he's manifesting feminine qualities, right? I'm not gonna see nothing masculine in him if that's not what he's showing me. He's showing me what he's
Not at
showing me.
all.
I'm gonna be like, he's not showing me nothing that's gonna please me. And guess what? There's a woman out there who loves
No.
that guy who dresses like that. It just ain't you, you know.
Right.
So it's somebody out there who likes his nails polished. Somebody out there who all of those great things. Somebody out there, but it just ain't you. And you have to know yourself to know who you are and what you want and what you expect. You know, and that's
Exactly.
another quality.
That's key.
If you're a woman who knows what they want, that's a high quality, a high quality in a woman that actually knows. Oh, I'm not sure. I changed my mind. Oh, I thought I want this. No, I don't. And I don't. One that actually knows what they want. Ooh, that goes right to the top for me. But what
Right.
about you? What do you think about with the guys? Indecisiveness. Uh, where does that land on your scale?
No time for it. I mean, I know people are on stage. It is some things I will tolerate, but it's a lot of stuff I'm not gonna tolerate, and that too feminine is something I'm not gonna tolerate. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Especially coming up the Marine Corps,
Right.
they would definitely have to be very, very masculine. I mean, no, you know. Um, but at the same time, I realize that people grow, um, and that we're all growing, and that we're all learning. So they would have to have a plan and be able to work that plan. That's the most important thing, and have confidence in self and know who they are. That's the problem. A lot of people have no clue who they truly are. You know, they need a book to tell them who they are, or they need a group to tell them who they are, or they need somebody else to tell them who they are, as opposed to going inside to figure out who you really are. You know, and you don't have to be what somebody else say. Like everybody say that we're African, and if you say you're not African, well, I'm one of those people African. But who's going to tell me that I am? You know, I'm what I say I am, not what you say. And then people get mad at you if you say that. But who are you to tell me what I am? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but
What do they?
definitely, it would definitely have somebody that has a plan and has an ability to work that plan. And we got to meet somewhere in the middle. You know, it don't necessarily have to be all about. And like I know a lot of females be like, well, if he got kids, I don't want to date him. If he don't have his own house or his own car, I want to see potential. You know, do you have potential to get your own car? Do you have to get your house? Let me see your plan. What's your plan? What's your, and to see where their mind is. That's the most important thing, to see what that thought process is. So
Well said. Well said. And as far as because we do talk about this being I am all I am, talking about the inspiration and motivation. How do you feel the spiritual aspect plays a role in the selection process for you? Not speaking religion.
for me, it would have to be really important. Don't do religion at all. I mean, I respect those that do, but it would have to be somebody that's on the conscious level as I am, because I don't. A lot of these things that other people put themselves in a box, and I don't put myself in a box. Never will put myself in a box. Um, and I'm not saying that they have to be on the same level as I am, but they can't. I can't be with somebody that's going to say um, they're into any aspect of religion. It's just not gonna work. Because if I want to play with my crystals and you think crystals is that ain't gonna work. If I want to pull out the cars and play with them, you're saying that the cars are evil, that's not gonna work. Or if I'm saying that I hear spirits and you're saying you hear the devil, that's so we definitely would have to meet somewhere on that level of card. And I'm not saying that they have a belief system, but I can't have nobody that's in a box that's gonna say you can't do this, you can't do this. Or if I want to say I'm a goddess, and a lot of people get offended by that. If you call yourself a goddess or a god, you saying you got another god before God, or you're not supposed to God. If that's your mentality, I can't deal. I can't
Right.
at all. It
Right.
don't even know.
Right. I agree. I agree. At some point, whether for myself as well, I think we may have all, maybe as children, started in one religion or another because we know what our parents know. We didn't come out the womb,
Right.
but that's what we were fed. And then we break out of that box and we're like, wait a minute, the life that we thought was the life is not the life. And then we start making individual choices about individual ways of life, including individual ways of life that extend well beyond religions, which is where I'm at this point. Having gone through, many understandings of religions and Christianity and Islam and things like that, not rejecting or neglecting any of what I've been taught, but also realizing that there was life beyond and there's a further level. And unless you elevating, then you're just flat. So even if those were stepping stones to the higher level, so be it. And I think that a lot of people get trapped in those levels and those ceilings. I've been taught that you think this far, and then everything else is the boogeyman, the devil, and this, that, and the other, and then you think this far, and not even if it's a limitation, because people put limitations on themselves. Nobody forcing you to think like that. Nobody forcing you to think that way.
Right.
You are putting the limitation on yourself, and that's what it is. And so I understand your point totally. Uh, I always thought that I could kind of work with somebody, and I have, that had a religious um, viewpoint. But I figured now, especially at this time in my life, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of undoing. And I really am not into undoing. I mean, if you want to think whatever, I be like, oh, okay. My famous saying, my kids get mad, he always goes, oh, okay. I basically have given you, whatever platform you want to have and say whatever. Doesn't mean I buy it, nor am I going to try and change you. I'm not here to change you. So that's what you're feeling? Cool. Yeah, you would have many different viewpoints of at least different discussions when it comes to how you just said you might want to do this, and they're gonna say, "Oh, that's the devil, that's evil spirits," blah 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 blah. And now you gotta have confrontations about this stuff because you have your viewpoint. Has it? No, I am not even gonna waste my time with that because again, that's a perfect example. Of what you said, I found at least one or two really great women, and then they talked in that manner, and I couldn't untangle or unrattle their brain to think anything beyond what they've been fed as a child. And so I'm wasting my time. We're gonna keep revisiting. Oh, here goes the devil. Or we're not gonna talk about energy. We're not gonna talk the universe and how you have control of that and the magnetism that's in it and how you can affect the situation. We're gonna keep on capping. It's the devil over there. The devil moved that box. The devil made me do it. And I don't have time. So how about you do you, and then I'll do me. And I don't neglect, the higher self. I acknowledge the higher self, but
Right.
I acknowledge universe. I acknowledge one. There is one energy that's moving all of this. And even what we call bad is not bad.
Right.
There's more energy and less energy. Just like a
Right.
battery has more energy moving in one direction and it has to have some push and pull in order for catalysts to work, in order for physics to work, you got to have push and pull. It's not one's bad, one's good. It's that you have to have energy to move energy because that's
Right.
plain physics. It's in motion. It has to stay in motion. But those who have been capsized and capsulized in their brain have been taught that it's either good or bad, high or low, God or devil. And that kind of thinking is like kindergarten thinking, and I'm at the university. If you notice, it's called a university. University.
Yeah,
They
I was
bringing all
listening
your
to
minds together. Your math, your science. They bringing your mind together. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Queen.
yeah, I was listening to Neville Goddard, and you touched on a point where you said there's no good and there is no evil, and that's what he said. He said in one of his books, I don't remember the books because I don't read every last one. Sorry about that dog. He's barking at the
No,
other
it's okay.
dogs. Um, but he said that there is only the way you view it. And for the longest, when I first heard him say that, like, wow, I understand why he says that, because something that I might think is, I mean, I could take and I could flip that energy and make it so it's not really bad. It might be a inconvenience, but it's not bad. Thing with the devil and God, I look at it as my higher self and my lower self, opposed to some boogeyman that makes you do bad. That's I don't know where that concept, comes from, because even if you go through the Bible, it really don't tell you about no little red man with a tape be this devil entity. So it's more about your mindset and what level of thinking or what you're comfortable with accepting.
Absolutely, absolutely. The thought that we have one force that's just propelling is like jujitsu. In jujitsu, you're using the energy of that person against themselves, so that energy that is coming at you is actually being used to your benefit. That lower energy is used to your benefit. If you harness it the right way, it ends up, oh, I ended up winning anyway, in spite of.
Right.
And so that's just energy. The dog is letting the energy go left, and we're just ignoring it. So
I'm gonna go
anyway, I don't even hear that. I don't even hear that. So
okay,
what
good,
happens
good,
is
because I
that
do.
energy. Yeah. So that's when we focus and channel. Then we know what the energy is. So that's why we don't respond to it. We don't really have an opinion about it because we understand the energy just moving about. Especially if there's clear, clarity being met. When there's clarity of minds and meeting of minds, sometimes energy tries to kind of move in the midst. But once you locked in, it's just like when I told you that the audio signals have to lock in on your side and my side. Once they're synced,
Right,
then you really ain't no distractions. There's really no distractions. It's just, and oh, I see that. It's like peripheral vision. Oh, I see that. Keep it moving. And that's it.
right,
And that's
right,
really, and once you get that tunnel vision like that, then you so in tune as you walking down the street, you can see that which happens before it happens.
oh yeah.
See,
There's some
then you
interesting times
understand.
now.
Then life is just a big smile, a big smiley face, because you're like, ha! Before you get this store, you're like, I know not to go to this particular cashier or go to this particular cashier. Things like that. Just an
Right,
example. So okay, so we talked about the relationship as far as the spiritual levels are concerned, and we talked about them on a physical level. Let's talk about something that people get into, academic level. I originally was of the opinion, and I'm not a whole 100% because when we start talking about academics, that can go in many directions, both a good idea and a bad idea. So people can get so educated that they don't have common sense,
right,
and people can get educated to a good thing. So when it comes to education, my original thought used to be you got to have at least a bachelor's degree. And I thought that, I felt that, and this was what I rode with for many years. Some part of me was not necessarily bent on a piece of paper. It was more bent on the time you need to develop yourself as an individual person and finding out who you are. And sometime at 18, I know for a fact at 18, I was not a man or an adult. I was still in my childish ways. I was still in my childish thinking. And even though I went to the military and went off to that direction, I still was not at the preparedness and readiness that I felt I needed to be as a quote unquote man. I might have been military ready, but I wasn't man ready. Like after you out there out in the civilian world already, paying your rent, make sure bills are paid, and this, that, and the third. No, because in the military, you're like handheld. Okay, you give me the small check, we're taking care of your food, clothes, shelter. You show up at the chow hall, you get food, you get everything else. So it's a little bit of handholding on the top of what the military responsibility gives you as well. My MOS was radio communications. Okay, so I'm going to talk with a walkie-talkie and I'm going to be on the line, blah, blah, blah. But everyday life was pushing paper inside of an office. I wasn't doing a lot. And then, chow time, go to the chow hall. Everybody cooking everything for you. You eat, 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 eat. No, you got to worry about that. They give you a small check. Why? Because you live on the base. Don't worry about that. So I was military ready, but I wasn't man ready out in the civilian world. So when I got out there, I was like, oh, you got to cut a check. You got to make sure you pay your rent. And this and the third. And then when I went back home, I thought about, like, before I went to college and then after I went to college. Do you find academic or academics to be something of interest to you when it comes to who you'll partner with as a mate? If so, why?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. And I'm gonna tell you why. I listened to him yesterday, Elon Musk talking. He has no college education, and he is the second richest man in America now. Never went to college, never went to school, um, and he's super rich. You know, so I based it on, and I don't have a bachelor's degree. I have two associate's degrees. Um, but it never stopped me from doing what I wanted to do. I had a business with Another Realm Entertainment, did that. Basically self-taught myself. Like you that stepped in and helped me. Jules stepped in and helped me. Leo stepped in and helped me. I always knew where to find the information that I needed. Moving into my business now with senior care, I had no formal training. I mean, I did do respiratory for 16 years. So that did kind of sort of prepare me to take care of older people. But as far as running and maintaining the business, I did it on my own. Um, I don't have any training in any hunter business or nothing like that, besides from doing research. So I had this conversation with a lady that's more, she's trying to push her kids to go to school. And I say, when you push kids to go to school, you're putting them in debt, as opposed to telling them to go to a trade school and prepare to have their own business, as opposed to having to work for somebody else. Um, and she didn't really like that answer. She was like, well, you have to have a formal education. But who knows what formal education is? You could be self-taught like I was. Now for those that feel that they need that formal education, that's great. That you could get it out here. Me personally, if somebody has a zeal and a desire, and they already out here and they got a business, I don't need a piece of paper to say I want to see what the goals are, what the end are, how do you run this company, you doing in life, what are your plans? So, and I'm gonna tell you what really is a good one for me. If it's somebody that level to Think and Grow Rich, they read As a Man Thinking, that let me know that that's somebody that's taking their own hand. For the brothers that do have degrees and all that, that's good. And I mean, it's great. I salute them. But for me, it's not something that I'm not going to say to a brother with you because you don't have a PhD or you don't have a bachelor's degree. For me.
Yeah, I grew away from that too. As I was going to say, at the beginning, I was at that point where I was feeling that the conversations that I want to have, meaning just regular everyday conversation, or the most important thing, when you have a difference in the and you have a difference of viewpoint, how you discuss it. I'm just giving an example of my dad, who all he had was four-letter words in his dictionary. So if it went south, it went south in a major way. There was no, okay, honey, you take a turn. What do you have to say? No, it's blah 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 blah. He firing all kinds of f bombs. So it's like, do I want? If I'm not saying that the person can't have that vocabulary down pat outside of the bachelor's degree, I'm saying in my experience in particular, it seems as though if you have a limited vocabulary or even in limited thinking, because I think I also stress the importance of having some psychology courses and some sociology courses that I took in early as high school, so I can get into the mind and understand the thinking of my mate. Originally, that was why I took it. When I thought about in high school, I was like, and I was saying, women are so confusing. Man, I wish I could understand them. Let me take some psych courses. So I gotta say, why is she saying up and then she just said up? Now she's saying down, and that kind of gave me that's a little bit of an insight in the mind. So I feel like I could have a more constructive conversation with someone who has a certain level of learning. It doesn't mean that they had to get the piece of paper, but if I have to reduce it down to M's and F's, which I can go there, I just feel it's an unhealthy relationship foundation to have. So, have I dated people that did not have a degree? Absolutely. Has it been wonderful experience? Absolutely. Um, but I also remember the levels of communication between one person and another when it came to their communication skills. They were vastly different. And I'm not one to really get into argument and confrontation. I mean, I'm gonna let you say your piece, very, very eloquently, and then I'm gonna hold my piece, and I'm gonna let you, Now, the minute you start let me hold my piece and keep cutting me short and cut me at the knees, then I'm not gonna be able to give you the same in return. So now we at a very primal state of communication. And if we have a primal state of communication, I'm not at this point in that frame of mind that I would entertain that. A bunch of drama, a bunch of baby mama, daddy, and motherfucker. No, not me. Not me. So that's why I say that whole thing about the levels is because if you can show me a decent conversation, and I'm not gonna be with a bunch of cursing and carrying on and all that craziness, cuckoo-ness, then cool. But if you got that, then I'm not interested in that. So whether it comes with a degree or not, don't know. Don't know if that's part of the program,
See,
but uh,
with me, the conversations with cursing and stuff that don't bother
yeah,
me because for 20 years I was in the Marine Corps, and 90% of the time I was always the only female because I was 1160, which is a utilities chief. I did water purification, waste treatment plant, and most females, the girl. And I said I wasn't girly because I was. But it didn't bother me. My fingernails broke. It didn't bother me to get down and dirty. It didn't bother me to go have to pull up a toilet and replace a toilet or go unstop a toilet. So I was always around males. So to learn how to integrate again with females because I was never around them. I was always around men. So to have a conversation and somebody that don't, but you might hear it come out of my mouth when I'm in a professional
yeah,
setting. This one, every balloon it might slip out, but
yeah,
I'm the type of person I meet people where they are. So if I'm talking to somebody that's call themselves being up here, then I could be up there. But if somebody that's down here, I could be down there too. Because I'm more about effective communication. So for me, for it to be effective, I'm not going to be with somebody down here and up here because they're not going to understand what. Just like sometimes when I'm talking to these guys that are up and they are throwing these 8, 9, 10 letter words, I'd be like, time out, boo boo. What are you talking about? Because to communicate effectively, meet a person where they are, then your communication is not effective. Like when I give classes on finances, I can't use words because some people don't know what the hell I'm like. The other day, I was giving a class on small index funds. They had no clue what a was. So I had to go, and it was okay. It was okay elementary. So for me, I like meeting people where they are. If I'm talking to a brother from the hood, I can relate to that from the hood. If I'm talking to a doctor, I can relate to a doctor. But for me, it's more meeting the way they are. But I agree with you. I'm not for that drama.
right,
Ooh,
yeah.
I ain't got time for that.
I don't mind.
I
Like I said,
had
I got my hood conversation for my hood brothers, and I got doctor
yeah,
conversations. I can switch it off and on. Don't get it twisted. I can switch it off and on with a
right,
heartbeat. It's just a matter like when I think
right,
about my mate, I want to be in harmony with them, and I want it to be like a very fruitful conversation. And like I said, a lot of times, even arguments, they could be arguments, but they're like very, you know, reasonable, understandable. Totally don't agree
Respectful.
with what you say.
Right.
I don't agree with what you say at all. But does that mean I gotta go
Right.
crazy? You a B and
Right.
your mother's B and blah 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 blah. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. And
And
so
see,
the
that's
thing
what's
is,
hard to find.
and no, I know. I think the greatest thing first is a good, and this sounds cheesy, but a good friendship. I think
Right.
that's the basis.
And
Like we are so good, friendly, we get along, we laugh, that can go somewhere. Because when we get too up
right.
and tight with each other, we just laugh at each other. It's like, oh, come on, it's just a silly little thing. You know what I mean? I think that to me helps to have a good understanding as friends. Then it's like cool, and then you're more laid back. It's like whatever you want, no big deal. Okay, you got it your
Right.
way this time, I get it next time, no big deal. You know,
And see,
and it's a very
that's what it is.
comfortable.
Right. The
Yeah, sorry.
people start off as friends, and as the relationship builds up, they lose that. If you could maintain that same friendship that you had in the beginning throughout the relationship, relationships will last nowadays. But now it's like people are their friends before they're bed partners. Now is everybody want to knock boots or whatever I'm gonna touch. I don't know when. I know we used to call it knocking boots. Their sister
Hey, look,
with
I
the day. It's like
Hey, look, I ain't opposed to quote unquote knocking boots. I ain't opposed to it at all. But if I can't relate to you, like I can't really talk to you, then it gets very limited. It gets very limited. So, like, yeah, that was cool and all, but what else you got?
but see, even
That
with
that that
that,
situation
if
is,
you take it to a
you know,
spiritual level, people don't
right.
understand that when you knock boots or whatever you want to call it, that's
Mhm.
spiritual. So in
Speak on
order
it.
to enter this kingdom, oh no, you gotta boo boo boo. You just not
Yeah,
gonna enter this kingdom. No, sir. No, no, no,
yeah, you can
no.
speak on that one
That
because that connection of spirituality when it comes to that, nobody seems to make that connection. I actually was listening again. It was a brother, last name Wesley. I was listening to him talking about that. Was it him or was it someone else? I can't remember if it was him I was listening to recently. But yeah, I say the same thing. Like every time you connect with someone, you're transferring spirit. You're connecting on
oh
another
yeah,
level, another plane. And if they're all jammed up or clogged up, they can mess up, affect your clarity and your frequency getting all distorted because you done linked up with some old alien extraterrestrial being that their energy is totally off the wall. So it's like, now what the heck you done did to
take
yourself
a
now? You
step on
all
that.
off you all off your compass direction. Your boat was
Right.
going one way, you all of a sudden going south. So I thought about that. Oh my god! Every time we talk
Got
about
off
this stuff, I
this.
was even thinking about how I have a god sister who she ended up first time she wanted to do psychology, and I remember when she was much younger before she had this first child. I think first child she was like 16 or so, and now I look at her today and I was thinking, it's funny how your whole trajectory changes just by one person and then in your life. You go from what you was gonna do to whatever ended up happening. You know, and
Right.
so not just letting them into your life spiritually, but entering your life, period. Like they can alter the
Right.
direction of
Right.
your life. You know, so a person has 4 kids later, like, oh, I was planning on being a whatever, but then I met such and such, and we went from I'm going to college and it's gonna be this to I'm having 4 kids and this and that, and everything changes. So I'm even I'm
Right.
guarding the door. I'm guarding the throne. I'm guarding the door, and actually checking who's coming in. I'm checking IDs. So I
I
ain't
know that's
just
right. You
letting
got to,
people in.
man.
This ain't no revolving door. This is a check ID situation. You know what I mean?
You got
That's how I look
to.
at it. And I mean, you can grow to that. I was not always there, and I just feel like now, especially when things are going the way they need to be going, the last thing I need is a monkey wrench in the engine. It's just the last thing I need. And so, yeah, so I'm like, yeah, it sounds cool. And when you said about potential, it's kind of comical because I would tell my daughters, sorry to say it, don't fall in love with someone's potential. And I'm say why I say this. Not that your opinion about the potential with someone, how you'll be with them, but I'm talking as a from a dad's perspective when he looks at his children, and he's saying, well, don't fall in love with the potential. Why? Not because people can't have potential and go where they, say they want to go, but you are taking a gamble and you are taking a risk. And like life itself, it's a gamble, it's a risk. And just like if I was in the casino and I would put all my money on red, right? And hope that it works out, or put all my money on one particular thing and go, that's how I look at it when I talk to them. I'd be like, yo, it's great that he talks a good game. He said he's gonna be the king of Iran one day, and he's gonna be the president of the United States the next day, and all these great things he said he's gonna do. We got lots of potential. What is happening in the present
Well, see,
that lets me know,
young,
yeah,
you gotta
you got you got that. You
have,
got that.
uh, yeah,
Say again?
she's young, so she's still learning. I mean, it's a big difference between a child's mentality and a grown ass woman. Oh, my
Oh,
leg, a
oh yeah.
mentality.
Oh
Because when I
yeah.
say now potential, you could look at I could look at somebody and tell whether you full of boo boo or you got your stuff together. Now, when I say
Yeah.
potential, I mean
Man, if he's showing you something.
he's exactly. That's what I mean. Now,
Yeah.
in these younger people, they say, I want to be president. See, I'm looking for somebody that say, I'm already a president. I'm
Yeah.
already a CEO of my life.
Yeah.
I'm already
Yeah.
the CEO of my. So
Talk about it.
potentials to go higher.
Talk
Now,
about it.
that potential you talking about with younger generation, that's
Uh,
I'm not knocking them, but
yo, it's
they
just
got a
like
lot of to do.
just like my man in coming to America. He's like, today I'm on fries. Tomorrow, he the guy. I think it was Andy
Right.
Louis Anderson. Today I'm doing fries. Tomorrow, you know, like yo,
Tomorrow I'm
I
gonna
tell
give you
you
some
what.
food.
Call me tomorrow. Call me back tomorrow when you've got to wherever you're talking about. But if, like I said, if you are actually in effect mode, like he's actually doing something that are steps toward that goal, and you can see that,
Right,
or you might, think you
right,
can see that, then maybe yeah, work with him or her and see how it turns out. And but again, I still kind of don't bet it all on black or all on red. I hold a little bit back to make sure things. And this is just dad talking to the girls. Make sure it's really what it
right,
says. You know how we say trust but verify. Trust
right,
but verify
right.
that he ain't talking bunches of games blowing smoke up your butt.
I
So
like
that's just me, and I got more cynical when it came to them in particular, what I had to impart on them, because they're out there, they're women,
right,
and they're gonna come across a lot of people with a lot of great opportunities and great stories, and you're gonna hear plenty of many of those, and you're gonna have to decipher between real fact or fiction. And I lay it out
right.
them quite honestly. And a lot of times they get so in love that you put on blinders and you be like, yeah, he said he can capture the moon. I believe him. Oh, okay. This is my favorite saying. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel
Okay.
you.
And then you call and
I
then they
guess
cry and
the
you call you like, oh, it didn't work out. He did this and this, that, and the third. Oh, okay. All right. So now we know.
well, that's why
Now we know.
that's why
But
you prepare them to make it on their own to be self sufficient. So if they do run into somebody that thought they had it, because a lot of times, if you go back to level of maturity, if you read books like Thinking It or As a Man Thinketh or The Power of Positive Thinking, um, like I constantly tell myself that I'm a multimillionaire. Am I a multimillionaire? Yes, I am. I haven't manifested on the out. So I'm still prepared. I still am self-sufficient. I could do things that I need to do that's not going to stop me. So that to have a partner would be great, but I can make it on my own. I'm self-sufficient. I'm not saying that I don't need a partner, but I'm saying you have to prepare your daughters and your sons to be able to make it on their own. So if they do find somebody that falls short, they still good. And that's where the problem. Too many times we are totally on somebody else to take care of us as opposed to being able to take care of ourselves. So if that person that's in our life doesn't where we think they should be. But see, I've learned in life that you have to let people be where they want to be. You have to let people do what they want to do. And we all fall short. We all, you know, but when short, you gotta have something to fall back on. So if we teach these kids their own, have something else, something happens down the road where you don't become that CEO of your own, or you have your own company and that company fails, your daughters will still be good if that company is, you say you don't all red or you don't bet on all black, but you got to take chances. Now I don't put all my eggs in one basket either. Far from it. However, if it's I have my eye on and I know up here that it's going to happen, most time I can make it happen. Now, if I can master a lottery, I'd be good to go. I just ain't mastered that yet. But there's a lot of things that I've said, I'm gonna and I meant it. So,
Yeah.
just teach those daughters. See, I don't have no daughters at home no more. Just teach them daughters that to have, and I already know you doing this, just
Mhm.
teach them to have their own. Always have their own. Always, you have that joint. Mike got that. I used to call it my little, but I done got out of that, that stage. That's when I was young and didn't know any better. But I've
Mhm.
always had my own, so that you never want to be on a point where you got to ask, can I? I look at some of these wives and they be like, oh, I got to ask my husband. That I do respect that. Couldn't be me. I'm not asking my husband for it. If I want it, I'm gonna get it. I always have my little stash, and now we got to start teaching these, even the boys. With Honey Dip Sons, I try to teach them that have your own, so you don't have to be dependent on somebody else. If you're down, you shouldn't have to come say, Nana, can I borrow $40 because I'm tired. So we got to teach responsibility and to be self-sufficient.
Indeed. So, and along those lines comes they have to be taught finance, which we touched on earlier. How the kids, well, we didn't talk about how the kids don't know finance, but it is a fact that finance is not something that is normally taught in a ordinary line of education. That if you don't seek out an understanding of finance, you probably won't know about finance. And that's one of the saddest things of the education system that we apply ourselves to here in America today. To not educate someone on the most, or if not the most important part of their life, it's almost a miscarriage of justice. Because why would I teach you about so many other things, so many complicated, complex equations, of which are, they're not part of everyday utility, and yet not teach you the basics about finance. So I think the finance part, whether it's I mean, now you have the adults that have to now learn what they didn't learn, and then you have the kids; they're still not being taught. And I think one time
Mm-mm.
there's a bill in South Carolina, a guy who's put a bill forth that a required class or a required curriculum be that of finance. About time. It's
Really?
just literally that somebody's thinking about this. But again, why would you leave out something so important as handling the checkbook, balancing the budget, understanding the finance terms of interest rates and mortgage, and when you think of the word mortgage, okay, before I know about the word mortgage, I didn't know it was just a loan for a house. Like a mortgage, it sounds really different. A loan for a house. Why don't you just call it a loan? Why does it got to have a different term?
Right.
So something as simple
Right.
as that, you sitting around and you're confused about that, and then they say step out into the world and start handling bill payments and handling investing and handling everything from finance and all that kind of stuff with no education. No education. And think about all the things they
Right.
could have left out of the education situation. Maybe some of that quadratic equation and all that extra, maybe they could have just supplemented a little bit of what you really need. And so many times we'd be like, yo, I don't even know why we're learning this stuff. We're not going to ever use this. Not to say you'll never use it, but to say that the priority should be on something like learning finance because you're actually going to use that on a regular basis. You're going to use that frequently. And how many times do
Right.
people end up with bankruptcies or any kind of financial issues, um, not understanding credit reports or understanding the effect on your life? How many times does that happen to people? It's based in part on their prior education or the lack thereof. You know what I
Right.
mean? But we don't value credit, or we get into these credit situations not knowing the ramifications 3 years down the line when you want to buy a house. Now you can't get it because you screwed up something back there, or the justification for giving you subprime mortgages or subprime lending rates. The justification is, yo, you got screwed up credit. You've been screwing up all this time. You didn't pay your doctor bill. There's all these justified ways in which they can now penalize you for not having a total grasp and understanding of your finances. So now when it comes to the table, you want to borrow something. Oh, we got you at 13%. Why? Oh, because back 2 years ago you didn't pay this medical bill. So it's a miscarriage of justice beyond proportions. Something that really needs to be on Front Street. It really needs to be taught. That's one of the things I'm talking about having as well. Just before I even talk about the stock market, which is something that I also understand and specialize in, just giving people that basic knowledge. Because guess what? If they don't even get the primary tools, the elementary tools of what we're talking about, like the basic stuff, you certainly not be talking to me about uh, trading stock. You might not ever financially have the means to do it because you never even got the ability to understand how to make a budget to put money aside so that you can invest. You know what I mean? We
Right.
can't put the cart before the horse. So, I'm very passionate about that because I've seen so many people, celebrities and non, go through so much finance stuff. And if they only had a better understanding of finance, this would have never happened. I don't know if I mean, we're kind of in the same age gap range. I don't know if you remember Woody Woodpecker. Remember that cartoon?
Mm-hmm.
There was a scene where he said if Woody would have gone to the
Favorite.
police, this would have never happened. So he goes through a gamut of mistakes in his life, and each time this guy comes, steps in the middle, go, "Hey, look, if Woody would have gone to the police, if you would have gotten a decent education in finance, this would have never happened." And so I think that's one of my
Right.
duties is to make sure people know um, about finance and how to understand it so they can better their lives. The only way I can really get them to better their lives is to start from the thing that's going to affect their lives a lot. Finance. Finance is going to affect their life. So
Right.
that's the first step. And what you said about the with the relationship, it was another thing. When you say something, I'll remember it and I'll try to bring it back later. But it was something to do with the relationships of the people. I know you have to get ready to wrap it up. I know you got something scheduled by like 6 o'clock. I think you were telling me, or am I wrong, or how are you on
Yeah. It
that
could.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I
we
mean,
good.
we
Go
could.
ahead.
There's
Go.
some.
We good.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that the potential of people, as far as you saying potential, we have that potential in all of us to be great people. Period. So there's a positive note out of that word potential. We have the potential to be God. We have the potential to be great. It's tapping in on that spiritual level that's going to get us there.
Right.
No
And
amount
that's
of.
the hard part.
Go ahead.
That's the hard part because a lot of people don't know what you say tapping in. So for somebody that's at level of consciousness, they're like, okay, I understand that. But for somebody that's not, like a lot of people are still into Christianity and all the religions. So when you say tap in, they have no clue what you mean when you say tap in.
Mm. So you want? I can give an
That's,
elaboration a little bit of that
it's like this morning.
one. Well, when I say tap in, I mean,
This morning,
huh?
go ahead.
No, when I say tap in, I
I was
mean
just racing.
that you first of all It's almost like, and again, I love The Matrix, and I'll talk about this to the nth degree. I just watched it again yesterday, and I watch it all the time. It's almost like you're in a fog. You're in the fog, like the rain and there's fog. Fog is clouding your vision. Fog is not allowing you to see down the pathway. It's blocking your vision. The world we're born into is that of a fog. It's foggy. We really don't see clearly what's really happening. Because our spiritual sense, we've been dulling down so much that we're riding in this low level of plane, so that we're used to this plane, we're comfortable with this plane. We can't see the greatness above us. It's like if you ride a plane, the small planes fly at 10,000 feet, the large planes fly at 30,000 feet. So therefore, if you're at 10,000 feet, you surely can't see the 30,000 feet above you. There's a plane. So you first have to be able to accept the fact that there's a possibility that there's something out there that's different than what you've been taught. Just like it says in the Matrix. It's something out there that you don't know. There's something else. Is there a possibility? The answer is yes. The possibility that there's something else exists. Why? Because first and foremost, your belief system is based on just that. Belief, not fact, not factual, not proven. Belief, which is the equivalent of theory, which is equivalent of scientifically not proven theory. So with that becomes a realm of possibility of other variables. The variables can be interchangeable. So if we first can accept that, if you can't accept that, then you go nowhere. There's no sense in going to the third grade when you haven't mastered the building blocks in kindergarten. So first you have to say, are you willing to take it down the rabbit hole? Are you willing to go deeper and dive deeper and know what's beyond that? That is the first thing, the acceptance. Then you start the process of, well, what are the steps that I must take? Then you ask yourself, am I willing to do those things? Am I willing to unravel the religion I've been taught and unwind it and see if there's something different? Am I willing to change my eating, my thinking, my speaking, my heart, my honesty and openness, my truthfulness, being true to thyself? Be saying something nice to someone, but really you got bitter envy. You ain't being true to self. If you don't like them, you don't like them. I'll be the first to tell you. I don't like you. I don't like you. It's cool, but honesty and truth with self. So first, we're thinking about cleaning out those levels. The eating, the honesty, the speaking. You know, you're thinking about the words that you speak. You know, words are powerful like a sword. So you think them before you speak, or you're speaking very little, because if you value your words, you don't want to put a whole bunch out there. It's as if I had gold or platinum, I'm not gonna just spread it all out. Just like it say in the Bible, you know, you're not gonna cast your jewels amongst swine. I'm not going to go ahead and just be all out there. If you ain't trying to hear what I'm saying, cool, because I value it that much. If I have a very valuable piece of commodity, I'm not just going to squander it. So now you're looking at it from both angles. You're looking at what's the possibility that there's something greater in my life that I haven't experienced. What's the possibility that all my struggle has been because I chose not to think of a possibility to be something else. The struggle is that you first locked in the mind. A lot of the, oh, man, I can't, every time I try to get ahead or get put back and this and that, because you've chosen to keep yourself in that box and think just that way. The minute you start saying the possibility is somewhere beyond that, that's the beginning. And second thing is controlling one's, knowing that you control your outcome,
Right.
knowing that you can control your destiny. And that means knowing that you have the power to change. Just like I was giving you the analogy earlier of a person who had planned to go to college, and then they said, okay, I'm going to go to college, and this was your dream. You planned that way, and then this guy came and gave you 5 babies, and now you ain't even do what you were supposed to do.
Oh, no, that's not. Wait a minute. What made you say the number 5? That's interesting.
Power of five. Power of five.
There you
I'm deep like that. So that's the thing. You might relate it to somebody who had that situation or something else. But whoever it was, or whatever it was, or if it was yourself, whatever, the power of changing your trajectory is within you. And you have to know
right.
when there are gates being put in your way, obstacles being put in your way, inhibitants coming your way. You have to be able to do that. In order to do that, you have to have clear mind. Just like one who makes a contract only can make one on behalf of a clear mind. It's actually a condition of a contract, right? Isn't that one of the conditions? The person has to be of sound mind. right? They don't say the person got to be a damn fool and crazy. You can sign a contract as a crazy fool. No, it actually inhibits you from signing the contract. They actually say that's a condition. You must have a
Right.
sound mind. Okay, so you got a sound mind. You got a contract with all these things out here. Contract with the church. You're gonna give them some money. Contract with your job. You're gonna do a 9 to 5. Contract 101 is what this world is based on. Contract. That's why they talk about contract.
Right.
Everything you got in your situation is contract. Contract to re-register your car, a contract to pay the mortgage, a contract to da, right? So first you have to be willing to unravel the baloney, the bullshit, all that crap. Dig it out, throw it out, or dig it out, compare it to something else, and then level up. So now we got that. Say
Right.
we did all of that. What now? So now that you understand that the possible exists, now that you understand that there's greatness out there, you just got to grab hold of it. You got to start taking steps, and it could be baby steps. I used to eat whatever thing. Now I eat less of this. I used to eat a big whole. I don't eat no pork, but I used to eat a big old pig. And now I'm down to just cows. I used to eat cows, but now I eat chickens. I eat chicken. Now I eat fish. And I'm just talking about the food. I'm just using it as an analogy. I used to read dumb romance novels, and now I read books of intellectual nature. I used to watch all kinds of crazy videos, but now I watch videos that are going to educate me. You have to take baby steps because you're piecing down, you're peeling back all the levels of ignorance that you've been accumulating over the years in different levels. On the mental, on the food, you're peeling them away. They're falling away. I used to drink cow milk. I thought it was a baby cow, but now I drink almond milk.
Oh, no. Not cow milk.
I'm making so many jokes because it's funny how it happens. And I'm just telling you the stages I went through because I actually was. I'm preaching. I'm giving you my testimony. I used to do such and such. Now I do such and such. So it takes little pieces, and the greatness is that this journey never really ends. And I say that with all seriousness. A greatness is that this is a wonderful journey. You just gotta love the ride and love the journey. It's not the destination. It's the journey that you're all about, and what you tools you pick up along the way. I used to do 10 push-ups, now I do 20. I used to do 20, now I do 40. I used to do 40, now I do 60. It's the same process. We're peeling away. When they shave your head in the Marine Corps, they peel away. Same difference. They get you there, they strip you down, they make you get a bald head, get you on the damn stupid ass yellow lines at 3 in the morning, get parasilent, you got sand fleas up your ass, and then they say, okay, you recruits, get your asses off this bus, get on it now. And then they see you in the chow hall, you think you're gonna eat. All right, dump that food, get that food, and that's it, you're done, boy. I said you're done. They stripping you down, and then they build you back up. Now you got to strip yourself down and build yourself back up. And that's the process that it takes to get that greatness. And then it's a
Right.
slice of cake. So, what's your take on it? I could be 100% wrong.
You right. You right.
There you go.
I agree totally.
There you go. So, just it's much easier for me now because I mean, I had to go through a process. I mean, well, I had to go through a process with relationships to understand where they play a role in my life. The word relationship meaning people and relating to another person, not always relationship as an intimate, but people and where they play a role in your life.
Right.
What place is this person playing in your life? What's their purpose? What's their role? I said 99% of the people come in your life and they're going to waste your motherfucking time. They're going to waste your time. There's that 1% that's really going to be relevant to why you even show up at your table. And that's the thing you got to decipher. Which ones are there to waste your
Right.
time and which ones are there to make a difference? And you will save a lot of time and energy, man. Like I said about the confrontation with an argument. I'm not dying to be in an argument where I got to be arguing all the time. No, I'd rather have a relationship than be in that kind of nonsense. No way.
Right.
Mm-mm. It should be pleasant, elegant, and joyful, lovable. If it's a bunch of nonsense, that is a waste of my time. Total waste. In light of the fact that you might get some pleasures or pleasantries out of that, what is it costing you? You get in a couple of grapes for a whole lot of pain. And is it worth it?
Right.
And I'm saying from a male and female perspective, you know, that clarity of mind means you are able to stand on your two, 10 toes down with a relationship or without. It don't matter if I have one or don't. It doesn't
Right.
affect my universe. It doesn't affect my universe.
Right.
It's a part of the universe, but it doesn't affect my world. It's a matter of being strong enough to know that you're that person. You're solid. Then when you enter someone, they don't move you off your square because they know whether they act right or left. You good. You're
Right.
good. Either way. And now you're cool. So that's why again, this is not a one night thing. This is the thing that you got to come to realize your strength as a man. As a man, you have to realize your strength when it comes to even your sperm, your jewels, your all that energy that you're in ejaculating. What is that power? What is that strength? What is it doing? Vice versa, the woman, the energy she's bringing during that process. All of that has to be a known, and it takes time to get to that and clean up the process. So now, like I said, for me, I don't give a have a relationship. I'd be nice to have one, but I'm certainly not sitting here begging and dying and worried about that all day. It don't matter to me because I'm gonna do what I got to
Right.
do. I'm gonna do what I got to do. And then as a result of that, as I told you before, when people manifest and do what you do, people want to be around you. They say, "Well, fuck with you," because they see how you do. You just good
Right.
people all the way around. You solid. So for me, I'm good either way. And I meet great people like yourself. You're a great person. I know. Like I think about you. I speak well of you. There was another sister who's got this sister. I've known her for like since I was 19. I'm 53 now, and we still been friends for all this time. She's a nurse. She became a major in National Guard. She bought her first place in Manhattan way back in the day. I think I was probably like 22 or 3 when she bought her first place in Manhattan. Had that place for many years and then bought a place in Suburban Maryland. Outstanding. Outstanding person. Great person all the way around, but as far as a go getter, the sisters I met when I was, thinking about a relationship at the time, they were like prime. Like, yo, you like they doing something. I'm taking notes. So now how did you do that? Like,
Exactly.
y'all got it going on, yo. And that's how I was like, I wasn't just like, oh, you look good. I was like, yo, what else you got going on? And so I always
Right.
chose based on seeing, like, one of my girlfriends was a valedictorian. She wanted to be a lawyer, and she was Georgetown Law School. Now, I'm not saying academics was the measurement. I'm saying a go getter. I'm saying a person that you look at them and you taking notes. You're like, well, damn, what? And that's how I felt yourself. Same difference. You know what you want, the biggest asset, and that's why I bring you on. I am all I am. I always hear your inspirational notes and speeches and things that you put out into the universe. That you have a desire to guide people into the light, into the right way, and you also have to be confident in yourself enough to know that you have that position to even utter those words. So that's a great position to be in, a very powerful, respectable position to be in as a human being you know. So from that, no holds bar. You're not in the dark. You're not stumbling. You're not still trying to figure out what do I do with these tools. It's like, and not somebody who everybody has to go through a journey. Everybody got to figure out what their tools are for. But it's pleasant to see that someone has the tools already figured out and moving forward. You know, the
Well, I'm
sister I
still
met the
learning.
other day that was doing a cookie show. She's I think I said what's it called? A chief master sergeant. I always get the levels wrong, but she's somewhere up there
Oh, okay.
and solid
In
person. She
Navy.
spoke a little bit about her testimony, even prior to her coming on talking about the cooking. She had the situation with kids and divorcing, but doing a lot, doing great things. And that's another thing. Like, you know, a lot of these great women like yourself get overlooked because there's all these booty shakers that's getting all this attention, but they ain't solid. They ain't got nothing caliber wise to pass shaking their ass. Like you go to Instagram, plenty of ass shaking. You dig into the consciousness, it's empty. It's a hollow echo. You dig into the education, it's a hollow echo. Some of them ain't even got an apartment, just a place staying. They playing like they got it going on, and they ain't got their own place. They're bouncing from couch to couch. I mean, just a lot of things, a lot of raggediness, and I'm not knocking it. I have been homeless. I'm saying solid, hollow. There's a difference. There's hollow point bullets
Right.
and it's solid bullets. And so I feel like a lot of times the good sisters that say, well, the good men are sitting around chasing these hollow points, and then they're not acknowledging the really good women that are out here that are the solid ones because they're not sitting around flashing all that ass. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. But see, those who are aware, who are awake, who are knowledgeable, they will take a second look. They will dig a little deeper because that's exactly what they about. That's what I'm about. You're not gonna. I'm very complex. I'm Brooklyn. You know, I've been there. You can talk the street. I've carried guns. I've been streets. I've been to NYU. I've been on all sides of the fence. There's not a lot you could tell me I haven't been through or been around or been involved in. So that gives me enough of a compass to comfortably speak from all these. I'm not saying I've only been academic. I don't understand you people that have been homeless. No, I've been there, done that. Been there, done that. And I can go back to homeless and still come up because I'm just that
Right.
kind of guy. So solid, when you're looking for a man, when you said you look for solidness, you're looking for that solidness. Like, oh, shit got rough. Guess who I know I'm gonna go to? Guess who I know I can count on? That solid person, not that person
Right.
who's like can't hold it, can't hold his frame, can't he shakes apart. I mean, and you have to go through
Right.
some things. Sometimes you do to even experience that. Whether you've been hospitalized,
Exactly.
confession. Whether you've been homeless, confession. Bought two brand new houses and a condo as a landlord slash homeowner at the same damn time. All that's part of my testimony, and I speak proudly because I don't. I tell my kids all the time, I give this nicest for this. Me, I can go to a rat hole and still make it out the box because I'm that
Right.
solid. You can put me in a situation like this, and you be give me 6 months, and I'm gonna be up or less because I'm solid like that. I know how to get it. So that's what you want. That's what you're looking for, and I know that's out there somewhere, and I know it's out there, and it's in you. You're gonna always magnetize. You're always gonna gravitate towards the right thing. You're gonna get the right situation, the right people that are solid like that, and you're gonna be able to decipher, like you said, from the bullshit. And then you don't waste your time with people that's on that bullshit. Just saying. What's your thoughts?
You said it all. You said it all.
You
I
still
was
there?
like, yes. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Uh
You
oh.
can't hear
Did
me?
I lose you on audio?
I can hear myself. You don't hear me?
I can't hear you. Your audio went down.
Oh,
I think we.
that's crazy. Let me
Yeah,
see.
your audio went down. Uh,
Is it better?
yeah, you're on red audio. I don't know why, but as we said before, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. So I can't hear you. Okay. But I can't
That's
hear you.
crazy.
So as we talked about with this energy, doing what it always do, getting in the midst of trying to affect the communication, right? We ain't gonna worry about it. It's 6:18. If I can hear you, say
Okay.
something. If not, we'll break it off and we'll pick it up again.
Okay. I don't think. Can you hear me? See, it's
Yeah,
all
it
green
is
on my
giving me
side.
zero audio. So I'm gonna wrap
Oh,
it up.
okay.
This
All
is
right.
I Am All I Am. This is Queen B. You got Fat Cat, aka Akeem, aka the Hitman. We'll tune in next time. Always great talking with you. Tune in again for me and Queen B. We'll be back again. Probably next week or maybe sooner. Stay woke,
Yes,
y'all.
sir.
Peace.
Yes. All right. Peace, love, and light.